10 years, the Fujitsu series has been a proving ground for future stars of V8 supercar racing. But this year, the links between it and the V8 Supercar Championship series have perhaps never been as close technically, meaning that a driver's performance in the Fujitsu series can be measured more accurately by team managers up the big end of pit lane. Take, for example, the Dunlop control tyre. Now, this year in the Fujitsu series, the teams have been using up the stock of the 2009 specification tyre. It's slightly different to the 2010 version. But from this weekend onwards, rookies like Tim Blanchard and Nick Percat have exactly the same rubber to play with as V8 champs Jamie Whincup and Garth Tander. And in keeping with the introduction phase of 2 years for technology from the Championship Series to work its way into the Fujitsu Series, sequential gearboxes have been permitted for the first time this year. This makes the cars easier to drive and reduces the chances of missed gear shifts, causing engine over-revs, and it leaves the driver to concentrate on his craft.
I don't have to think about the shifting so much, so I can get my braking right, which is quite hard in these cars. You come into the corners, you've got to really get on the brakes at the right point, at the right pressure, and bleed off at the right pressure sort of thing. And then get the car turned at the right point while it's still loaded under brakes.
Grid numbers are always an important factor for any racing series, and this weekend's grid is the biggest Fujitsu Series field since the last round of 2008. In a bid to attract even more competitors, organisers have reopened the door to the older model V8 Falcon and VY Commodore.
We saw a way that we can give these guys an opportunity to come in with their older cars, experience the Fujitsu series. If it's what they want to be, and then they can look at maybe getting a newer car and again continuing the growth with the series.
And with 6 drivers from this weekend's field testing with championship teams here at Winton on Friday, this is still the best category to prove that you can be competitive in a V8 supercar. Back at Winton with the final race of the weekend, and
There's some decent marbles there.
That is an issue. That is the leftovers from the sprint tyre from the Championship Series race. Matthew Hamilton starting from pit lane. They've done a battery change on this car. The grid for race 3 is an aggregate of the first 2 race results, but that sprint tyre rubber has affected the control rubber of the Fujitsu Series all weekend.
No, for sure. It's going to play havoc on these boys this afternoon, so let's see who comes out best with it.
Aaron Russell starting from 8th. That's a great job from the young teenager. Aaron McGill starting 15th. He missed practice while waiting for a new engine to arrive. And way down the back, the Kiwi Ant Pedersen, who finished on the podium in the first round in Adelaide. How quickly things have changed. A clutch failure in race 1, didn't finish. He'll start down the back alongside Drew Russell in the second of the Adrenaline Falcon. So McConville and Owen.
Oh, great start there.
And McConville has got the jump. The Jax Commodore has shown them a clean pair of heels to turn 1.
Moffat and Russell.
Oh, Moffat around the outside. He'll hang on to
touched.
A little bit of a touch there.
Switch back.
Russell tries to get back up into the gap at turn 3. Some drama back in the pack. Oh, Blanchard. Big move here. Blanchard makes
sideways. Look at him go.
it goes again. And Russell backwards off at turn 4. Into the stand and out of the race. And that was getting willing. It started at turn 3 and finished at turn 4. But McConville has the lead. Owen in second spot. Moffat is third. Blanchard fourth. And then Rodney Jane under the gun from a whole pile of drivers.
McLaughlin down the inside there. That's a real shame for Russell there. He was having a good weekend this weekend. Could have turned his championship around.
Who's at fault there? Did Russell turn in? Was Blanchard a bit too willing?
It was messy. I'd have to see it again.
Well, that's the end result. David Russell.
Going nowhere, that one.
Yeah, it's buried. That will bring out the safety car. And if his championship was bad coming into this weekend,
it hits the caravan on.
Yeah, it's even worse now. Let's have a look again. There is the first bump. So that slowed Russell coming out of turn 2 and gave Blanchard a run. Here's another angle now. There was something else going on back here.
It's a car sideways in the middle there, and the other way.
Nathan Vince. No, that's Ryan Hansford going around. And I think Jeff Emery ended up in the boonies. Okay, this was the move. Blanchard makes the dive at turn 3. There's a touch here.
He's up on the curb in the wobbly stuff, and they touch again. He never really recovers exiting turn 3, and just a little touch there from Blanchard to finish him off.
There's a theme developing. These two got together in the first round in Adelaide. They've done it again in round 3. Safety car on track at Winton. A restart when we come back. Back at Winton with the Fujitsu series, and bad news for James Moffat. He's being meatball flagged to the pits because the North 360 Falcon, there it is, third spot. It's in pit lane now. It has a loose exhaust mount, and that comes back to the contact with David Russell in the first corner. Yeah, look, that's really affected Blanchard's start there, so it's given away a lot of free time. Poor little fella's going to have to work hard to catch that back up. It's affected Blanchard's race, but he's under investigation for that contact with David Russell. Percat makes a move. McLaughlin too. Rodney Jane, and 2 moves in 1 corner. That was good stuff. Both these rookies doing a cracking job this weekend, nerds. They have really done a solid job, as too is Drew Russell, moving through on Marcus Sukanovic, and Pedersen trying to slip on through. There's Moffat, and that championship, it's pretty much over. He's almost now a full round behind Steve Owen. And Russell, both those guys, shocking starts to the season. We wouldn't have picked that at the start of the year. Back with Ronnie Jane, they've made a spring change to this car for this last race. Let's see if they can just tap a bit more speed out of it, but McLaughlin set the fastest, well, the second fastest lap of the first race before that touch with Jack Perkins. He is really coming to grips so well, so young, so early. Phil Foster around over at Penrite Corner. Ooh, that was close. That was very close. Nathan Vince, the Western Australian, heading on through. But with McLaughlin, this has been the part of the track where he's struggled, the third and final sector all weekend. Oh, look, he's got some good boys on his car. He's got my old number 1, Mikey Flynn, on his car. He's doing a cracking job, and I think he's trying to keep the young fella calm and giving him some instructions. And it's paying off. He's got him here. Young guy takes old guy. That'll get back. Hey, but everyone's an old guy compared to McLaughlin. He's 16 for crying.
That's why I said it. No offence to Mr. Jane there.
Oh, we will report that. Look at Perkins closing in here, but McConville leads the way. Steve Owen in second, then it's Blanchard and Nick Percat doing a good job in fourth. Now Perkins making a move. Nice job down the inside. Good clean move there by Jack. But we've got 3 rookies in front of him who are showing him a clean pair of heels at the moment. So some excitement here. Oh, Jeff Emery. That's how Phil Foster ended up facing in the wrong direction. The NDD Commodore, which is run by Greg Murphy Racing, as Moffat will get back into the race and at least salvage a couple of championship points. But we said at the start of the show his championship was going off the rails. It's completely shot from the railway now. Yeah, he's going to have to work pretty hard to get back and catch Owen, because he's got a good gap now. Riding with Rodney Jane, this is a pretty well-known car. It was Jamie Wincup's championship winner in 2008. Also won Bathurst with Lowndes and Whincup behind the wheel. But this man, if he was a little rusty coming into this weekend, Cam McConville has shaken that rust off and shown that perhaps he did retire a little bit too early. He said at the start of the weekend he wasn't sure if he should have stayed retired or not, but he's definitely shown them that he's still got what it takes this weekend. It's a great benchmark for Owen too. We should point out too that Cam never did say that he was retiring completely from motorsport. He's just retiring from full-time V8 supercar driving. So he's in the Enduros, he's the driving standards observer for Formula Ford in the Australian GT Championship. He's a really busy guy, but hasn't this guy impressed too? Tim Blanchard sat out of motor racing last year helping his good mate Taz Douglas, and this has really been a good comeback. It's a bit of a fairy tale story here for him. He's come back. He's going to be right up there in the championship now after this weekend if he can stay where he is, and he's going to be the only guy pushing Owen. Now Jack Perkins closing in on McLaughlin for 5th, and it didn't work out so well in race 1 when he closed up on the back, but he's got to be mindful here. He's behind a Stone Brothers run car. He'll drive a Stone Brothers run car at the Enduros. You get what I'm saying? I am, reading you loud and clear there. He's got the headlights on, trying to unnerve the little fella, but he's steady as a rock at the moment. McLaughlin hanging on. The Fujitsu Falcon was run by John McIntyre in the first round in Adelaide, as Scott was busy getting all the licence signatures to be able to race for the rest of the series. Very much a multi-year project with this teenager. He's first year in to the Fujitsu series, comes from a great karting background, as so many race drivers do, but still has a lot to learn, but shows really good signs. He's driving the car really straight here. It's a very mature approach, and he's definitely got time on his side. It's the big man himself, Ross, watching on. Checking the times there. And just the man in the background there was Wayne McLaughlin, Scott's father, keeping a watchful brief on his young lad.
I don't know if Ross is watching McLaughlin or Perkins. Which one?
He's got two eyes, so he's keeping a pair of one on each. It's so tight at Winton to make a pass anywhere. If you do make a pass, it needs to be really, really decisive.
Jack will be sitting back here, saving his tyres, conserving everything, just watching him go, and McLaughlin's probably pushing a bit harder than what he has to, and Jack will probably pounce later in the race.
Cooler conditions for this third and final race of the weekend. It's the last race of the day at Winton. A lot of fans have stayed around after the Championship Series race. You can just see that pressure starting to show. McLaughlin just a little wide here and there. Very easy to fry those rear tyres.
You can see Jack changing his line to drive off the corner really quite straight, just looking after everything. So I wouldn't be surprised. A few laps, McLaughlin's tyres go off, and you'll see Jack slide past. But it's it's a great effort from Scott. He's doing really well here.
This last race of the weekend, as it is at most rounds of the Fujitsu Series, it's a longer race, so it gives drivers who don't have the experience that was
rolling up on him there.
It gives them the experience of a car that changes over the course of a race run with anti-roll bars and the like. This is a drive-through penalty that has been assessed for that contact with David Russell. I reckon he might be a little bit stiff there because they probably both contributed.
Look at these two boys. Are they arguing about the race or who's got the better co-driver?
Will Davison and Jamie Whincup watch on. Cam McConville leads the way at Winton. Back at Winton with the third and final race in the Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series, and while we were in the break, Daniel Gillison made a very small error and his countryman Ant Pedersen got through.
Very easy to do late in the weekend. Track's dirty, it's getting colder, the conditions are changing.
And there was a bit of brotherly love going on as well.
I love this.
Aaron Russell
Right at the dinner table right there.
Made a small mistake, and who pounced? Big brother Drew.
Back at the front, though, these boys have been racing hard the whole way. They've caught him.
Oh! Scott McLaughlin having a look at third place.
Touch him there. I think he had more than a look, dudes.
Ooh, that was a big peep.
I think he had a taste there.
Smell, taste, look, feel. Had just about all of it except the spot, but McConville and Owen, they've driven away, so this is really where the fight is.
Yeah, just hope he hasn't damaged that front tyre there. So it's getting a little bit dark here for the lads.
It is a little late in the day. Percat,
another look,
trying to hang on here, because if he can stay in third, that will get him a spot on the podium at the end of the weekend, which would be fantastic for this older model. It's the VZ Commodore, and look, here we go, still going.
Round the outside.
Zakanovic round the outside,
Oh, no touch.
Works out okay for this one.
Done it.
And look who's coming. Matthew Hamilton, who started from pit lane in the Team Kiwi Falcon, has really impressed this weekend. Qualified 9th, 11th and 12th in the two races so far. And David Russell is trying to make an impression. Don't forget, he is way back in the order. Started third, ended up in the sand, few laps behind, just trying to get points.
Some sad stories back here. It's Hamilton got turned in the first race by Moffat, which was unfortunate. He's been fighting all weekend to get back.
It's been a tough weekend too for Marcus Zakanovic. Now, this car you might remember, you put in the fence at Bathurst in your first ever Bathurst.
Oh, that's right, up on the top of the hill there. It wasn't an exciting time, dudes, but I've done that a few times in the past. Look at these boys fighting to the death.
Putting a lap on Wayne Miles in the East Coast Traffic Control Falcon, who has added Kevy May, former Triple Eight mechanic, to that team this weekend. He's going to get some driver assistance too from Glenn Seaton in the near future, and give young Chaz Mostert, the Formula 4 driver, a bit of a run. So still feeling his way coming in from Speedway Racing, but he's got a ringside seat here to a fight for the podium.
Look, I'm super impressed with Scott here. He's, I thought he would have got done by Jack, but he's kept his head clean. He's got 2 laps to go, and he's really pushing Percat here.
It really is about gaining experience, not so much trophies or results for him this year. Very much part of a multi-year plan, but
he's driving the car so much straighter than Percat. Percat's over the curb, sideways out of the corners. He's really struggling here.
But it's so hard to tell a 16-year-old to control, to conserve, to say.
It's hard to tell a 29-year-old that I am. I'm still struggling with it.
Percat, lights ablaze, 2 laps to go. He's hung on this long. No real reason why he shouldn't for another 2.
There isn't, but there is one reason. Little Scott McLaughlin behind him.
Cam McConville out in front, comfortable, clearing away. Steve Owen very much looking like he's just happy to settle for second. He knows McConville is not in the championship picture, and then you get your sundial out here, second back to third, bit of a margin.
Those boys are in cruise and collect mode now, but these guys aren't.
Up over the curve. This is probably the chance, but Percat runs middle of the road.
Frustrating being that guy behind when they just run that middle of the road. You have to make so much more of an effort to get to the inside. He's all, giving him a little bit of a love tap there.
And now another one.
More, come on.
This is tap, tap, dash, dash, Morse code.
See, I'm getting too excited. I'm not even driving the car. Imagine if I was behind the wheel.
Oh, heaven help us all.
I have been behind the wheel of that car, though.
Just another one you've crashed.
There's plenty of them. Plenty of them, unfortunately.
It's worked out okay for you this weekend. It's working all right for Cam McConville out in front. He's on his last lap now, and Nick Percat, well, pretty much, he's just got to open the doors here. And look at this, the Kiwis, Hamilton and Gillison continuing the fight at Winton. And I'll give this one to Team Kiwi.
He's done it. Emery could have him. No, he's got him.
Jeff Emery slips through.
Down the inside again. Sheep stations here.
That's an ironic.
He's got him.
Did you mean to launch the sheep stations?
I did, like that.
Not bad. That'll get back across the Tasman. Here's McConville, last lap. And quite ironic here, we know he's a store owner now of Jack's Quick Fit Tyres, so essentially he's sponsoring himself for this weekend. That's a bit different.
Look, he's done a cracking job this weekend. It's if you need a set of tyres, go and see Cam. He's your man.
Sure is. Owns the
bit of silver ribbon for the workshop too now.
Yeah, it's a great start, isn't it?
I thought he was going to roll off the brake.
He has had to think about that one the last couple of times.
He's had plenty of thinking about it.
Hasn't been able to get it done. Jack Perkins has just been happy to just cruise around.
Pushing, and again a bit more.
He could just...
look at that into the back of him.
He's getting so close.
That's gold.
But Cam McConville, the second race win of the weekend, if he needs to warm up for the Enduro...
He's in the bags off the last turn.
I reckon McConville's pretty toasty. Lights flashing. Cam McConville takes round 3 of the Fujitsu series. He's back in the groove. Steve Owen second and will extend the championship lead by a long way. What a great result. The reigning Formula 4 champ, Nick Percat, the young South Australian, has put up with all the pressure that they could muster, and he will get J Motorsport their first ever podium finish.
Look, both those rookies, awesome job this weekend. Hat goes off to the both of them.
Replay. James Moffat had set the fastest lap of the race down the field, locks a brake.
Bad weekend gets worse.
Runs off, and he's a DNF. Did not finish. 0 points, and championship over. Recapping the results, McLaughlin from Perkins, Rodney Jane, great job. Drew and Aaron Russell, great job as well, 7th and 8th. Ben McCashney, 9th. And Pedersen rounds out the top 10. The Kiwis were getting stuck into it in 13th and 14th. Tim Blanchard got a second pit lane penalty for speeding on the first one. He finished in 17th. And in the round result, McConville, Owen and Percat on the podium. Rodney Jane a personal best, and Aaron Russell in the top 10. But Cam McConville now knows exactly how tough it is in the Fujitsu series.
Yeah, particularly qualifying. I mean, I missed out on pole, and everyone's so close at the front there. I think now we've got a championship with the Fujitsu series that you've got the young guys, and then you've got some old hacks like me that can maybe, show them a couple of things. Paul Morris is there, Stephen Owen. It's a good mix now.
And after 3 rounds, Steve Owen with a commanding 216-point advantage. But it's a change for second. Nick Percat's podium result lifts the South Australian to second in the points.
It's definitely down to consistency. Definitely learnt a lot through Michael Ritter last year and how to be consistent. And now I'm racing against his team and doing it, and it seems to be working.
And the consistency lands Percat on the podium. A great man to learn from in Cam McConville and Steve Owen. Winton has been a cracker. Well, the introduction of plenty of former main game drivers sure has spiced up the Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series. Cam McConville, one of those, and he's back in action for round 4 of the championship, which supports the Superagent Townsville 400 in North Queensland. Don't forget, the next time the V8 Supercar Championship Series is on track, it's the Sky City Triple Crown from Hidden Valley Raceway in Darwin. Thanks to James Courtney and Bronny Ingerson, I'm Aaron Noonan. We'll see you next time.